Okay, I'm going to get started by welcoming all of you guys. Welcome to Wat Tung. Nice to see all of you here. Welcome to everyone joining us online as well. Today is our group learning program where each Sunday and Wednesday I get together with students, helping them to understand the path to enlightenment. On Sundays, what I do is I go chapter by chapter in this book, helping students to be able to understand the path to enlightenment. And you can get this for free. You can download it from our website. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by just reimbursing us for the printing cost, and we'll go purchase more books, or you can get it on Amazon. This is a great text to get started with understanding the teachings of the Buddha, because what the Buddha did is figured out how to get to enlightenment, where the mind can be completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. By the time you get to enlightenment, you will no longer experience any anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All of this has been eliminated from the mind through training of the mind. There aren't any rites or rituals or ceremonies and worship and prayer as part of the teachings of the Buddha. If you've been exposed to those kinds of things and thought that they were actually the teachings of the Buddha, those aren't the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha's not teaching you to believe a bunch of things and then hope something good happens when you die. He's teaching you how to train your mind and get to peace and joy now in this life. So what I'm going to do to start out our class is to help you guys with meditation. I'm going to guide you guys in a meditation session. And today on Wednesdays, what I do is I teach meditation, and then I do a meditation session with you guys, and then I open up to any and all questions that you guys might have. So what I'm doing is a 4-part series in loving kindness meditation. In the first part, a few Wednesdays ago, I've taught students what loving kindness meditation is and how to do it. Today, I'm just going to do a short little recap to help you guys understand what loving kindness meditation is and how to do it. And then we'll just actually do a session together. Essentially, the Buddha taught 4 different types of meditations. He taught breathing mindfulness meditation, loving kindness meditation, meditation to eliminate sexual cravings, and meditation to realize non-self. These are accomplishing very specific things in the mind. Meditation is to eliminate certain unwholesome qualities from the mind and to cultivate certain wholesome qualities in the mind. So we're going to actually start out our meditation with a short little breathing mindfulness meditation where you're eliminating craving, desire, attachment, where the mind is longing, yearning, and chasing after the objects of its affection. Because the way the unenlightened mind works is you can only be happy when you get what you want. When you get what you want, you get pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. But you live in an impermanent world and you can't always get what you want. So when you don't get what you want, you experience painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. So in order to get to complete peace and complete joy, you need to train the mind to not form its inner feelings based on some condition. Oftentimes people think anger and sadness and all these other discontent feelings like frustration, agitation, and annoyance is being caused by other people. But other people aren't causing you to be angry. It's your own mind that's causing that. And it's being caused by craving, desire, attachment, the longing, the yearning, the wanting things to be a certain way. You can see this when you were a child. When your parents gave you chocolate and ice cream, you were so happy because you got what you wanted. But when you didn't get chocolate and ice cream, you were angry or frustrated. This is the mind craving permanence, wanting things to be a certain way permanently. You can see this if you were in a relationship with a boyfriend or girlfriend. When you guys first got together, you were really happy. But when you guys broke up, your mind was craving permanence. So therefore, when you guys were no longer together, you were angry or sad or frustrated or lonely or bored, or you were missing this person. It wasn't your love or your care that was causing that. It was your mind holding on and craving permanence, wanting this person to be permanent in your life when everything around you is impermanent. It's constantly changing. Nothing around you is permanent. So as long as your mind is craving permanence, you can only be happy when you get what you want. So if my mom and dad do this, if my boss does this, if the weather is this, if my bank account is this, you have all these conditions, all these expectations. That means your ability to be happy shrinks. You're sabotaging your ability to be happy all the time because you have all these expectations of things you want in order to be happy. So the Buddha is teaching you and guiding you how to train your mind to not experience that any longer, where your mind's going up and down, getting to the point where your mind can be completely peaceful and joyful all the time. So this first meditation, a breathing mindfulness meditation, is eliminating these unwholesome qualities of craving, desire, attachment, want, and expectation, chasing after the objects of your affection. And it's helping you to cultivate the wholesome qualities of mindfulness and concentration. Mindfulness is where you have awareness of your mind, where you understand your thoughts and ideas and the mental states that are going on in your own mind. And you have concentration, the ability to focus and be concentrated on a single object. So we're going to do this for about 3 minutes or so as we first get started in the meditation. Then I'm going to move into loving kindness meditation. This is a meditation that's going to transform your mind away from anger, hatred, and ill will, and all those lesser versions like frustration, agitation, annoyance. By the time you get to enlightenment, you won't even have the slightest dislike towards other people. Right now, you probably like certain people, and that's because they're meeting your expectations. But when people don't meet your expectations, when people don't do things your way, you dislike them. But not everybody's going to do things your way. It's not possible. So if you can only like people, if you can only love people who do things your way, there's only one person in the world that does things your way. So therefore, there's only one person that you can actually love. That person is you. You're the only one who does things your way. So if you have the expectation that everyone will do things your way, then you can't love everybody. So this meditation of loving kindness meditation is going to rewire your mind to eliminate the anger, the hatred, and the ill will. That's coming up because people aren't meeting your expectations. People aren't doing the things you want them to do. And now you get angry at them. And when you're angry, you might think that the anger is coming from them and that they are causing your anger. And what you might have been doing is pushing people away or pushing a situation away. You might have pushed family members or friends out of your life. And you can see that this didn't solve your problem because you still get angry. You still get frustrated. If this person was the real cause of your problem, when you push them out of your life, you'd be peaceful for the rest of your life because you've just found the problem and you've solved it. But when you push people or you push a situation out of your life, it doesn't solve your problem. You still get angry. You still get frustrated. Or another thing you might do when you think the problem is external, when you think somebody else is causing you to be angry, you might be bitter and harsh and hostile towards people with your intentions, your speech, and your actions. This is being unskillful, and it's damaging your relationships because whenever you're bitter and harsh and hostile, people don't like that, and people might choose to move away from you. Or you might put your expectations on people, and you might try to control people and force them to do things your way. And people might be doing these things to you too, pushing you away, being bitter, harsh, and hostile to you, and putting their expectations on you and trying to control you to do things their way. And this is the mind trying to get its cravings fulfilled. The mind is longing, yearning, and wanting and expecting things to be a certain way. And the mind thinks that if I push this person away, I'll get things my way. Or if I fear them into doing things my way through being aggressive and hostile and bitter, through my intentions, speech, and actions, if they do things my way, then I'll be happy. Or someone might put their expectations on you, trying to control you, to get you to do things their way. And they can only be happy if you do things their way. But this isn't going to lead to permanent happiness and permanent peace. So the Buddha is teaching you how to transform your mind to move away from that. So this loving kindness meditation is going to bubble up this genuine interest in seeing all beings be well, where you can have love and kindness towards all beings, and it's unconditional, where you don't have to meet any conditions to be able to love this person. If people have to meet certain conditions and then you will love them, that's actually not true love. That's the craving, desire, attachment. That's the wants and expectations, that the mind thinks that I can only love this person if these certain conditions are met. That's craving, desire, attachment. You would like to get to the point where you can love all beings unconditionally, where they don't have to meet any conditions in order for you to love them. Because love is a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well, active goodwill towards all beings. So this meditation is going to help you cultivate that wholesome quality of loving kindness and eliminate anger, hatred, and ill will and all the lesser versions. So this is the definition that I provide to help people understand what loving kindness is, that it's a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well, active goodwill towards all beings without judgment. You're not interested in judging other people to determine whether they deserve your love. That's not unconditional love. That's a condition that has to be met in order for you to think that you love this person. But instead, you would like to be loving and kind with everyone without any conditions needing to be met. And this is where you can be peaceful and joyful. Because if you can only love people when they do things your way, as I mentioned, that's not love. And you would only ever be able to love one person because you're the only person who does things your way. And sometimes you might even find it difficult to love yourself. So this meditation not only transforms your mind away from the anger and hatred that you might have towards others, but also toward yourself. Sometimes people have like this inner dialogue within their own mind, this kind of negative self-speak, this diminishing and degrading inner dialogue. This meditation is going to help you to do that so you can have loving kindness for this being as well. So this is the antidote or the wholesome root or the remedy for anger, hatred, and ill will and all the lesser versions. It eliminates the harshness, bitterness, hostility, the resentment, the aggression that you have towards people. There might be certain people in your life from the past or right now that aren't doing things your way. And you might have resentment towards them. And you might feel like holding on to this grudge is a way to get back at them. But you're not actually getting back at that person. You're only harming your own mind. If you hold on to a hot coal and you try to burn somebody else, the only person getting burned is yourself. So that's what happens when you hold on to your anger and your hatred and your resentment. If you hold on to a grudge, thinking you're getting back at somebody else, you're just burning yourself. So this meditation is going to help free your mind of the anger and bitterness and hostility so you can be loving and kind with all beings. And as you put out love and kindness to others, loving kindness is what comes back to you. If you put out bitterness and harshness and hostility into the world, that's what's going to come back to you. You can see that in the relationships that you're in, that you're maybe having struggles and challenges in, that where you're bitter and harsh and hostile, those people are being bitter and harsh and hostile right back to you. You're not going to transform your mind and transform your life by continuing to be bitter and harsh and hostile. You would like to get to the point where you can be loving and kind with all beings. And that's what this meditation is going to help you to do. So the way that you can do this meditation is we're going to start with some chanting to ease the mind into the meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. Then I'm going to come in with some guidance for breathing mindfulness meditation. And then there'll be a period of time where we're doing breathing mindfulness meditation. Then I'm going to come in with these statements or these affirmations or these phrases that are going to help you to cultivate loving kindness in the mind. When you hear me say a phrase, you would like to repeat it within your own mind on the out breath. I'm just using this as a visual aid. I'm going to do about 6 different rings. You're going to hear me say things like, may I be peaceful. And when you hear me say that on the out breath within your own mind, you can repeat that. May I be peaceful. And then I'm going to say, may I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of discontentedness and the suffering it causes. Then we're going to go to wider and wider and wider rings until eventually we get to all beings. And now your mind will have more loving kindness in it. It's not like it's going to instantly, magically make you loving and kind, but consistently, if you gradually train your mind over a period of time, you'll see that the anger and hatred will gradually wear away and you can be more loving and kind with the people around you. Sometimes people think that the Buddha sat under a tree, he meditated and instantly got to enlightenment. This isn't actually true. You can see it in his actual teachings that it was gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress that led to enlightenment. So this loving kindness meditation, it's not a magical pill that's going to instantly turn you into a loving and kind person, because you need to cultivate the mind with the meditation to be loving and kind, but then you're going to need to go out into the world and practice being loving and kind with the people around you through your intention, speech, and actions. This is where the real work is beginning. The meditation is like filling up your gas tank to then go out into the world and be loving and kind. And you're going to need to learn how to do that through the core central teaching of the Buddha called the Eightfold Path. He teaches you about how to improve your intentions, your speech, your actions, your livelihood, these kinds of things, to be able to be loving and kind, so that as you're putting that out, more and more of that will come back to you. And it's through gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress that you can train the mind to cultivate this loving kindness and then practice it in your day-to-day life. So after we do this loving kindness meditation, we're then going to go back to breathing mindfulness meditation, and then we're going to come out of it with some more chanting. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of open up to any questions that you guys have related to the teachings of the Buddha. No matter what it is that you've been exposed to, no matter what challenges you're having in your day-to-day life, you can ask any and all questions that you like to get help. So if you'd like to join in meditation, as I mentioned, I start with the chanting, and these chants are on laminated sheets over there on the cabinet. You're welcome to help yourself and get the chanting sheet, because oftentimes students like to chant along as I'm chanting. So you're welcome to chant along if you like. During the lifetime of the Buddha, he used chanting as a way to help his students to commit the teachings to memory. Every 2 weeks, his students would come together and they would recite his teachings orally in order to memorize his teachings, because during his lifetime, there wasn't the ability to write things down. The technology to write down things didn't exist. So he used chanting as a learning tool. There isn't anything mystical or magical with chanting. It's not a rite. It's not a ritual or a ceremony or worship. It's not prayer or anything like that. Even if you've been exposed to that at other times in your life, it's not a prayer. That the Buddha never taught those kinds of things. Today, we use chanting in order to ease our mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation. But the Buddha used it as a way to help his students remember the teachings. If you read these English translations on the chants, I don't think that the Buddha actually created these himself. Because if you read the English translations, you see a lot of admiration, appreciation, and respect for the Buddha. And a Buddha wouldn't walk around and say, here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me. This would be arrogance. This would be ego. But if you learn from a teacher how to move from anger and sadness and frustration and all those other discontent feelings to this peaceful and joyful mental state that is enlightenment, and this teacher didn't want anything or expect anything from you, you'd probably have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. So that's why I suspect these actually came from the Buddha's students, not the Buddha himself. So after we do the chanting, that's where I'll move into the guidance for the meditation. In terms of your body position for meditation, the Buddha taught 4 positions. He taught seated, lying, standing, and walking. And you would need these different positions at different times. So as you journey on the path to enlightenment, students will oftentimes learn these through various courses and retreats. These are like tools that you have in your tool belt. But today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to the seated position, because that's kind of like the primary position that a lot of people learn in. So I'll help you to understand the seated position a little bit. And then later in your journey to enlightenment, you can learn about these other positions that you can use at different times. So if you're going to use the seated position, you could be sitting on the floor, you could sit in a chair. If you're at home, you might be on a bench or a sofa or in a wheelchair. Any way you would like to sit is completely up to you. What I'm going to share with you are just suggestions or recommendations. So you can sit in any of the ways that I describe, but you can also do it any other way too, even if I don't describe it. Just find something that's comfortable for you. If you're on the floor, oftentimes people like to have cushions under their rear. This is going to kind of soften your seat a bit. So you might decide to have a few cushions under your rear. The Buddha, or I should say, what a lot of people do, and the Buddha did this too, is that he would cross his legs, right? Some people like to cross their legs. Not everybody, but some people like to cross their legs. So if you're going to cross your legs, you would like to do that lightly. Whereas if they're real tight, it's going to impede the circulation in your legs and it'll cause pain in the lower body. So you'd like to just cross your legs lightly. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This gets the hips up in the air and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles. So you might consider doing that. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. So if this is comfortable for you, you could use it. But it's not about everyone doing it exactly the same way, because that's not possible. Some people might prefer to have their hands on their thighs or on their knees. You might like to have your hands up. Some people place their hands comfortably in their lap. So you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. And this is the same thing for anybody who's in a chair, on a bench, or a sofa, or a wheelchair. You can sit however you like. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles, but you can see me sitting in a chair here with my legs crossed. So this is an option as well. And then you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. In terms of the upper body, it's nice if your sternum is up and your shoulders are back. This will help keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation. Because as I shared, this is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities from the mind and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities in the mind. So you would like the mind to be attentive and alert during the meditation. So by having the sternum up and the shoulders back, it'll help keep the mind attentive and alert. It'll also make it easy for you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So again, I'm going to ease us into meditation with chanting, which you guys are welcome to join in on, and then I'll come back in with the guidance to walk you through this entire meditation. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Wat Tung Bhagavanang Apivadeyami Savakato Bhagavata Tammo Dhammang namasami Supatipanno bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusrang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath, not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Then I'll be back with more guidance on loving kindness meditation. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Repeat these phrases in the mind on the out breath. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May Mom and Dad be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May my family, friends, neighbors, and co-workers all be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all those who have harmed me be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all those who I have harmed be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all beings, wherever they reside, be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. Now return back to breathing mindfulness meditation, focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Breathing in and out. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanhang Apivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa นะโมอะระหะสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมอะระหะสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารนังสัมมุโนสกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภาควาติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone here this morning. This is loving kindness meditation, and there's a few important points to kind of highlight now that you guys have an opportunity to practice it. This meditation is to transform your mind. This meditation isn't to change other people. So while we're saying, may mom be peaceful, may mom be well, these kinds of things, it's not to change mom. You can't change other people through your meditation. It's not possible. The way that you're going to transform your mind and your life is by training your mind. And by you becoming more loving and kind, now when you interact with mom and you're being more loving and kind in your relationship with mom and dad, that's where then slowly but surely you'll see a transformation in your relationship. So this isn't to change other people. It's also not to invoke some kind of like special power to come change you or to change other people. The Buddha lived 2,500 years ago. He died, and he's never coming back to this world ever again. You can't pray to the Buddha and ask the Buddha to change things in your life. The way things change and the way things improve in your life is through cultivating wisdom and making wiser decisions. When you're making wise decisions, that's what's going to improve your life. There's no way to invoke some kind of special power from the Buddha or anybody else to be able to change your life. And you can see this is true because you've been doing that for a long time, but you still get angry, you still get frustrated, you still get agitated or annoyed. So you can see if you've done these things that that's not what's going to actually lead to improvement in your day-to-day life. Then the way that this meditation works is it's through you customizing this meditation for your specific needs. So today I did some very general, broad statements like, may my friends, family, the neighbors and coworkers be peaceful and so forth. I'm just meditating in that way because I'm guiding a group of people. But if you were to do this on your own, you would like to include people who you actually have anger towards, people who you have resentment towards, maybe people who are currently in your life, or maybe they're long gone, they're not even in your life anymore, or maybe they're even dead. Because as long as you're holding on to any kind of anger or bitterness or hostility in your own mind, it's just plaguing you from experiencing peace and joy, that permanent peace and permanent joy. So you're going to need to say things, may Bob be peaceful, safe, well, and free of discontent. May Susie be peaceful, safe, well. You're going to need to name actual people. Or if you have hostility and bitterness towards groups of people. Maybe you hate all police officers, or maybe you despise lawyers or politicians or people like this. As long as you have that anger and hatred in your mind, it's hindering you from being able to experience the peace and joy of enlightenment. So you might need to customize this with either names or groups of people or things like this. And it's important to understand that this is what's going to work gradually to change your mind. It's not going to be instantaneous. It's going to be gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. It's not going to be 1 week, 1 month, even 1 year for you to eliminate your anger and your hatred hatred towards various beings. It's going to be gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. It took the Buddha 6 years to get to enlightenment. So it's going to take you some time to gradually train your mind. You're going to need to be dedicated and committed and determined to work towards this enlightened mental state. Because living with anger and stress and anxiety in life, it's no fun. But there's an escape for you. There's a way for you to get out of it. And it starts with understanding what's causing these feelings. That your feelings aren't being caused by other people. These feelings are actually being caused within your own mind. Like I was mentioning, it's craving, desire, attachment, longing, yearning, wants, and expectations. Wanting things to be a certain way. And if you get things your way, you experience pleasant feelings like that happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. But if things don't happen your way, the way that your mind wants them to happen, that's where you get angry or frustrated or agitated or annoyed or stressed or anxiety or guilt or shame or frustration or something like this. So you're going to need to be able to see what the true cause of these feelings are to then be able to eliminate them. Because if you go around the world pushing people away, being bitter, harsh, and hostile, or putting your expectations on people, you'll never get to peace. You'll never get to joy. If you're trying to change other people in your life to do things your way, you'll never get to peace and joy that way. Because there's 8 billion people in the world. You can't train everyone to do things your way. But you can train your mind to understand these natural laws that the Buddha taught. And now gradually, slowly, but surely with this wisdom, you'll navigate the world more peacefully and you'll experience improved results in your day-to-day life through making wise decisions that is producing wholesome results or wholesome karma. When you make unwise decisions, it's going to produce unwholesome results or unwholesome karma. So I'm going to stop here and see if you guys have any questions on anything you'd like to ask related to the teachings of the Buddha, any challenges you're having in your day-to-day life and so forth. If you would like to ask questions and you're here at the temple, we have microphones in a white bowl here in the middle of the room. All you need to do is get a microphone, press the gray button. You're going to see the lights come on and you just hold that up to your chin and we'll be able to hear you here at the temple and they'll be able to hear you online too. If you speak here without a microphone, the people online won't be able to hear you. And then when you have these microphones, you can just keep it with you because you might have more than one question or someone around you might have a question and you can just share the microphone. And then when you're not using it, if you could just turn it off, that way we won't get feedback in the speakers, that would be great. And for anyone who's online, you can put your question into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section, or you can raise your hand electronically in Zoom and then unmute your microphone and ask any and all questions that you like. So is there anybody either here at the temple or online that would like to ask a question? I see Yusuf here online has a question. So let's go with Yusuf first. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to have your guidance on how to identify or understand to what fetter does this craving belongs. I'm talking about what you mentioned in the messenger today to me. So I will give an example that I am not sure if it is belonging to this fetter or not. And you can help me, if you were me, what will you do to be sure instead of just asking your teacher for confirmation? If you were me, what will you do to be sure it is or it is not belonging to this fetter? Okay.
Yeah, but first, let me just share with the group here. What Yusuf is asking is he's asking about these 10 fetters or these 10 pollutions that are in the mind. These are the 10 pollutions that the Buddha discovered in the mind. He referred to them as fetters because during his time frame, if you were a prisoner and they were trying to keep you in a certain area, they would attach a fetter to your ankle. It was like a shackle and a chain and a ball, and it would keep you confined to a certain area, like a field. And it's when you release this fetter from the ankle that the prisoner's free. It's liberated. So when the Buddha discovers these 10 pollutions in the mind, he describes them as fetters because it's like a shackle and a chain and a ball that's around your ankle. Where nowadays we put prisoners in jail cells or prison cells. During the lifetime of the Buddha, they just attached a fetter to your ankle. So when the Buddha talks about eliminating these fetters out of the mind, these pollutions or these taints or these defilements, that's what helps you to be free. As long as your mind has these pollutions, your mind's not free. You get angry, you get frustrated, somebody says something, somebody does something, it triggers one of your cravings in your mind, and now your mind is angry or frustrated because of what's going on in your own mind, these pollutions. So the Buddha's teachings, in one way or another, are always guiding you to eliminate these pollutions or these fetters from the mind. And Yusuf's been studying with me for a little while, so he was messaging me over the last couple of days about a certain situation that he's had, and he was trying to ask, what fetter is this? Because there's 10 individual fetters in the mind, and part of your journey to enlightenment is you need to be aware of what the pollutions are, and when they're arising in your mind, you need to be able to identify it yourself so that then you can eliminate them out of the mind. If you don't know what these 10 fetters are and you can't notice the symptoms of them, then you wouldn't be able to actually eliminate them. So now he's going to describe a situation and ask, what fetter this is so that he can gain more wisdom on being able to identify these pollutions in his mind. So go ahead, Yusuf, if you'd like to share your personal story.
Okay. So as I mentioned, like the examples I provided a couple of days ago, I was 90 to 99% sure what fetter it is. So I asked anyway. But the examples I provided today, today I wasn't sure or even near being sure. So I will provide now an example, a new one, that I am not sure if it is like personal existence view or not. And what I would like you to do is to help me confirm that on my own instead of like going to a teacher always to confirm that. Mm-hmm. So once when I was in college, I was like walking to college, and there was behind me 2 girls walking. They were from my class. So I had a thought, let me turn around and say hello to them and maybe walk with them to college. But then fear arose in the mind. And there were thoughts occurring. What if they were like uncomfortable, or they being fearful for their reputation, like a guy walking with them? Like we are in a Muslim country, so we don't do those things a lot. So why would this be related to personal existence view? Due to me thinking that I will be like radiating uncomfortableness, or radiating shyness in their mind, like triggering those cravings, or radiating reputation damage. Mm-hmm. So I think they belong to personal existence view, but like I am not sure if they are or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when you're early in your practice like this, Yusuf, it's very rarely just one fetter that's at play here. There's definitely some personal existence view there, but it's also central desire too. For you guys here, what personal existence view is where the mind's clinging to your self-image or clinging to your self-identity, wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way. That your mind thinks that, you want others to perceive you in a favorable way. So like, say you spilled something on your clothing and you were embarrassed in that situation, that is because you're clinging to this self-image, wanting other people to perceive you a certain way. And as long as your clothes are clean, you feel happy. But when your clothes aren't clean and you spilled something on your clothes, you feel frustrated or agitated or embarrassed or some other feeling, right? Or if you get a pimple or a mole or a wrinkle or a gray hair and you look in the mirror and you're shaken up by this is because of your personal existence view, wanting to be perceived by others in a certain way. And now you can only be happy when you're being perceived that way. When you're not being perceived that way, you'll be frustrated or agitated or annoyed. And the same thing's going on with your identity. You might think like based on your culture, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your nationality or your job or occupation or something like this, there might be a certain identity that you're holding on to. Like, I am Chinese. right? Or I am a Brit, or I'm an American, or I am Israeli, or any of this I am. If you hold on to the identity of I am Chinese, for example, when you're at a restaurant and 2 tables over, people are talking very kind and favorable about Chinese people, you'll be happy. You'll be like, wow, they're talking about me. Yeah. But now 2 tables over on the other side, they're talking in degrading or disparaging ways about people from the country that you come from. And now you're angry, you're frustrated. That's because your mind's clinging and holding on to this identity of who you think you are. And the mind can cling to any number of things of I am this, right? So Yusuf, of course, there's personal existence view there because you're clinging to this perception of how you want others to perceive you. Because as you said, you're in a Muslim country and it's not normal for people to walk down the street of a mixed gender, boys and girls, and now be walking down the street and talking. And you're worried or fearful about how other people are going to perceive that. That's the personal existence view part of it. But then there's also this central desire because you said you were worried about whether the girls are going to be shy or not. This is the mind's longing, yearning, desiring for them to experience things in a certain way permanently. And you don't have any control over how other people experience things. The feelings that that person has is within their own mind. It's not you that's causing that. But your desire is for everybody to experience things in a certain way. And that's the permanence that the mind is craving. So both of these fetters are involved there.
So just confirm that to me again. Like if I had a thought that I am like uncomfortableness radiator or reputation damage radiator, like do you know what does the sentence mean? Is it the correct sentence? I am radiating like a reputation damage.
I'm not sure if I understood you 100%, Yusuf, but are you asking me about your reputation and that you're concerned about your reputation being damaged?
No, like when they look at me, like they might think, oh, here, this uncomfortableness radiator coming, like the word radiation or radiator, you know this word?
I'm not understanding your... I can't understand the words that you're saying.
Yeah. I think I am making words by myself. So the word radiation, you know this word, right?
I don't know how you're pronouncing it. I can't understand your pronunciation.
Would you like me to write it here in this?
Yeah, put it in the comments section. Yeah, put it in the comment section. I'll be able to see it.
Okay. This word. Seeing it? I sent it.
Radiation. Okay.
So, yeah. So, like, I am radiating uncomfortableness, shyness, reputation damage. Like, whenever, like, they see me, they think of those words, maybe. So, is this me, like... is this personal existence view?
That is you having central...
Sorry. I identify myself. I identify myself as someone who radiate uncomfortableness, reputation damage.
I see. If you're identifying with that, yes, that is personal existence view. But it's important for you to understand you can't cause someone else to be shy. You can't cause someone else to be frustrated or any of these other feelings. Any feeling that someone is experiencing, it is happening within their own mind based on their own cravings, desires, attachments. It's not from you. So if you're radiating shyness, meaning that this being Yusuf is shy, and now you experiencing shyness, if somebody else experiences shyness around you, that's being caused by their own mind. It's not being caused by you.
Okay, so I'm not sure, like, did you mention how can I, like, instead of relying to a teacher, can I rely to myself and confirming things? Like, if you were me, how would you confirm that those things are personal existence if you are not, without asking a teacher?
Yeah, whenever you're trying to be perceived by others in a certain way, and you're you're worried about your reputation or how other people look at you or what other people think of you, that is your personal existence view.
So like I can ask myself, Yusuf, do you want to be perceived as someone who, when girls are around or boys are around, they are comfortable, they don't fear their reputation? So if I said yes, then yeah, I have a craving to be a certain way in this situation. Because yes, I do have a craving for them to be comfortable around me, to not have their reputation damaged around me.
Okay, so that is your central desire. So you wanting others to perceive you a certain way is your personal existence view. You wanting other people to be a certain way, that is your central desire.
Now it's a little complicated.
It's not complicated to me.
Yeah, because you have been practicing for many years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the goal is for you to cultivate the wisdom so you can see it yourself.
Okay, so I will contemplate on those and get back to you if I didn't fully understand.
Sounds good. Okay, we have a question here, I think. Ma'am, you have a question? Yeah. Not yet.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, sure. So just based on Yusuf's question, I would like to ask if we have some kind of just like I want others to perceive me as in a certain way. Mm-hmm. I just want them to see me in this certain way. I know that I'm not free from this kind of thoughts, and how to get myself, not be cling to this kind of thoughts.
There's multiple steps involved. The first thing you need to do is learn and practice the Eightfold Path. This is the core central teaching of the Buddha. This is something that I teach through all the different programs that I share, all the courses, retreats, and everything, which is all available to you at no cost. I teach the Eightfold Path. It takes me about 2.5 hours to teach it. You're going to need to learn that multiple times. You're going to need to commit it to your memory so that you can practice it. This is the path to enlightenment. If you haven't committed the Eightfold Path to your memory, you won't make any progress on the path to enlightenment. So you're going to need to commit that teaching to memory first, because it gives you the foundation of how to train your mind and move it to enlightenment. Then after you have that, then you're going to need to understand more of what personal existence view is, what it is, what the symptoms of it are. Then there's proactive techniques of how to eliminate it. And then there's knowing how to eliminate it. So for example, the reason why the Buddha wore rag robes and he shaved his hair is he was eliminating his personal existence view. That if you want to be perceived by others in a certain way, you'll stand in front of your closet in the morning and you'll think, who am I going to see today? And how do I want to look? And you'll think about the clothes that you would like to wear. Maybe some of you did that before you came here because you knew you were going to be seeing some people that are different and you've never met these people before. And you're like, how do I want to look today? And then you maybe went through your clothing and picked a certain shirt and a certain pair of pants or skirt or what have you, because you want others to perceive you a certain way. Or maybe you did your hair or your makeup or your earrings or jewelry in a certain way and you did not feel comfortable leaving to go outside until everything was exactly the way your mind wanted it to be. So the things that really target it really well, the Buddha taught shaving off your hair. Not everybody's going to be willing to do that. And you don't have to do that in order to get to enlightenment. But that is one thing that's going to help you to be able to not associate with this image as who you are and just go out into the world being unattached to this body and how other people perceive you. And then also you can wear simple clothing, either the same clothing every day. That's what some people do. Or what some people like to do is they just stack their clothing up and they pick off the top so that your mind doesn't get an opportunity to decide what you're going to wear that particular day. So if you go to work and you have formal clothes and you have casual clothes, maybe you pick off the top for casual clothes during your time off, and then when you go to work you just pick off the top. Or if you have a closet, you just pick the one that's in front, rather than giving the mind the opportunity to decide. So these are some of the things that really target your personal existence view, but there's others as well. So for example, people might think, I am angry, or I am hungry, or I am thirsty. Well, I am not hungry, because if you understand personal existence view, you understand that there's no I here, that it's just a body and it's just the mind. What's truly happening is the body needs food. That's true reality. But this lack of wisdom and lack of understanding that the mind has, it will think, I am hungry. And then when I am hungry, now I am angry, because the mind's craving for this body to be permanently comfortable. When this body can't be permanently comfortable, it's not possible. So the grumpiness or the irritability that someone might experience when they're hungry, it's not biological. It's actually coming from the mind. The mind is craving permanent comfort of the body, and the body can't be permanently comfortable. It's not possible. As long as you're alive, you're going to experience some uncomfortableness of the body. So you need to train your mind to understand that that's just normal, that that's impermanence. So there's various things like this that you need to proactively train the mind, and part of it is changing the language that you use internally within your mind to think about what you're experiencing. Because when you experience anger, it's not I am angry, it's the mind is experiencing anger, because there's the body and there's the mind. Neither of these two things are you. The combination of these two things is a person or a human being, but that's not you. It's not who you are. Even the choices and decisions that you make, that's not you either. So if someone used drugs and alcohol in the past, if their mind thinks I am an alcoholic, that's not actually true. True reality is this individual chose to use drugs and alcohol in the past, but that doesn't define who you are today as a person. So if we adopt this identity of I am an alcoholic, now there might be guilt or shame in the mind because of the choices and decisions that someone made in the past. So you can understand that your choices and decisions don't define who you are as a person. This image, this body, this mind, it doesn't define who you are. So there's certain things that you need to do, including certain meditation techniques, to gradually strip away the mind holding on to a self-image or a self-identity. But it all starts with the Eightfold Path. You need to learn that first. You can't just magically let go of this personal existence view. It takes time to gradually wear it away over time.
Yeah, thank you. But, you know, in this modern world, people do judge people from how you look. I know that the formal dress or, you know, those kind of things is not comfortable, but you have to present yourself in a certain way. Probably you can get more opportunities. So what's your take on this?
You don't have to do anything. The only thing you have to do is die. That's it. That's the only thing you're required to do. So as soon as you say, I have to do this, that's not true, right? You can choose to wear whatever clothing you like. And if other people are judging you for that, you might decide you're not interested in spending time with those people because they're not truly loving you as you are. But for example, like let's just say you're going to Thai immigration to get a visa and you would like to stay in Thailand for an entire year. Well, if you showed up with ripped shorts and a ripped shirt and dirty clothes, it's probably not the best idea, right, to do that. So in those rare situations, you're going for a job interview, you're going to get a visa at immigration. Yeah, you wear nice clothes, right? Because you would like to present this body in a certain way. But you can do that without the mind grabbing onto it and forming feelings based on those things. So 99.9% of the time, you could just pick off the top of your stack of your clothing, wear this clothing. If someone judges you for wearing particular clothing or not, hey, that's on them. And maybe you decide you're not interested in associating with that type of individual. And then you go spend time with people who don't judge you for the clothes that you wear. Because if you try to hold up this persona of how you want other people to perceive you, you can only be happy in those situations. And then these people are only treating you well because you have nice clothes on. That's not the type of relationship that's going to promote beneficial and successful things in your life. So you need to be able to be comfortable that, yeah, other people are going to judge you. Other people are going to talk bad about you, but some people are going to talk good about you too. So if people are gossiping and slandering you and judging you and looking down on you, Go away from those people. Don't spend time with them, because those aren't people that are truly interested in your success anyway. They have ill will towards you. And now this person has ill will towards you. They want to knock you down. They want to harm you. Don't spend time around those kinds of people, and be willing to walk away from those kinds of relationships. And that's where more and more you'll get to more peace and more joy. You won't get to peace and joy by living in a bubble and creating this perfect bubble around you. So even when someone's judging you or talking negative or gossiping or slandering, you need to train your mind to be peaceful and joyful in that situation. But it's still a wise decision to walk away from those kinds of situations, because it's not going to promote harmony in your life. It's not going to produce beneficial things to surround yourself by people who are constantly judging you and constantly looking down on you and have ill will towards you and want to knock you down.
Yeah, thank you. I have another question regarding distractions. That is, I know what I'm passionate about, and I know that I have lots of work to do and lots of books to read or lots of things to learn. However, every day I will still spend quite some time doing something I think which actually is not productive, or which actually is not a good use of my time. For example, scoring the cell phone, something like that. So actually, I'm especially when I feel I'm bored. For example, I'm waiting in a restaurant, or I'm waiting for someone, just, those kind of time. And I know I can use it more wisely to do something, or even just sit still for some time. But I normally don't do it. I just stimulate my mind to do something. For example, just scroll the cell phone, and then probably you will get triggered and got a little bit addicted to it, and continue to do it. And later on you find actually that's not what I want. So how to better train our mind that will be less distracted, and actually do the things that I'm actually more passionate and also more productive, to get better use of my time.
Okay. It's the same thing that I talked about earlier, or at least I mentioned it, which is the Eightfold Path. You need to learn this teaching. There's words behind this. This is just an image to represent the core central teaching of the Buddha. What your mind's doing is the same thing every unenlightened mind does, is it has craving, desire, attachment. There's longing, there's yearning. The mind's chasing after certain things. And if you get what you want, you're happy. But if you don't get what you want, in your example, you're bored, you're lonely, because your mind doesn't have the stimulation that it wants. So that word that you're using is passion. People tend to kind of think of that in a positive way. It's actually not. Passion is just another word for craving, desire, attachment. The mind longing, yearning, and chasing after the objects of its affection. It's wanting things to be a certain way. And if the mind gets what it wants, it gets pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants, it gets angry, sad, frustrated, loneliness, boredom, things like this. So as long as you're chasing after your passions, you can only be happy when you're getting what you want. And then eventually those things burn out. And now when those burn out, you don't chase that anymore. You need to get to the middle, because when the mind's chasing, this will burn out. It's like a fire that burns out. And then when you're not doing that, you'll swing all the way to the other side where you're bored and you're lonely and you're dull and you're the lethargic. You need to come to the middle where you're gradually pursuing your goals, objectives, or interests with ambition, with enthusiasm, but you're doing it out of wise decision making. Because when you're chasing your passions, you can only be happy when you get what you want. And that's not a true goal. That's a craving, desire, attachment. So you need to train your mind to knock down your longing, your yearning, your forming your inner feelings based on these things, and come to the middle where you can gradually work towards things with ambition and enthusiasm, but not with longing, yearning, and forming your feelings on these things. And the only way for you to be able to do that is to learn the Eightfold Path. And it takes me 2.5 hours to teach this. And then you're going to need to learn it multiple times. You're going to need to commit it to your memory. But slowly but surely, if you practice this, that's what's going to train your mind. There's no quick fix to what you're asking about. And this is the unfortunate thing about our society right now, is people are wanting a quick fix. But the thing is, there's no quick fix for the mind. It needs to have gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. And the beauty about this is once you train your mind this way, it's a permanent mental state. Your mind will never experience any anger or boredom or loneliness or guilt or shame or fear, any of these feelings ever again when you get to this mental state. But oftentimes people are impatient, they're complacent, they want quick results right now, and they're unwilling to spend the time to gradually train their mind in the way that the Buddha did. But this is where you really need to start. And I'm going to be teaching this in 2 weeks from now. Every Sunday I teach classes, and this Sunday I'm going to be teaching about what is enlightenment, so people understand what that is. The following Sunday I'm going to be teaching the Four Noble Truths. The following Sunday after that, I'm going to be teaching the Eightfold Path. And then next week, there's a course that I'm teaching called Harmony in Relationships, where Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., I'm going to be teaching this course. On Monday morning, I'm going to be teaching the Eightfold Path in its entirety. So if somebody would like to attend either here at the temple or online through our live stream, they can learn these teachings. They can get these books. You can get these books for free, like I mentioned. You can take the classes and courses, but you're going to need to decide you're done with all these discontent feelings and that you're ready to be dedicated and determined to train your mind, and you need the wisdom of how to do that. And that's what the Buddha is going to help you to be able to gain.
Yeah, thank you. How to know how to join those classes? Because I checked the Facebook community page, I cannot find much information about it.
It's all on our website. If you go to our website, our website is the central hub.
Okay.
And if you go to online learning and you scroll down, you'll see the link for live stream. You'll see our calendar on there. Under classes, courses, retreats, you'll see all the various classes, courses, and retreats, and it's got the information and the details of how to log in and these kinds of things. You can always send me a message if you can't find it, because on the website, you'll see the way to message me. But if you can't find it on the website, it's there in lots of different places. But if you can't find it, just message me and I'll share it with you.
Yep, thank you. And is it the same way that I have a son who's 11 years old, and nowadays I can find that he's more, he's very, just if you ask him to read a book, he probably think that's boring. But if he can play video games, he's really, forget about the time. So how is that the same way to help kid to, to train their mind to find what is really meaningful to do, and they will be, more happy to do those kind of things, even if, compared to video games, it's probably a little bit boring. How to do it? It's
not finding what's meaningful that's going to train their mind to not be attached to the video games. They have to train their mind to eliminate craving, desire, attachment. So my son, he just walked in. He's about 13 years old. He had the same thing, that he's very attached to video games. And I had to help him to learn how to train his mind to not be attached to them, right? So there's certain training that he would need to do as well. But you wouldn't be able to help him with that training if you don't learn the Eightfold Path. This is one of the beauties about a parent learning these teachings, is you can then share it with your son and you can help him. Because it's not just a matter of finding something meaningful, because then he's just switching from one craving to another craving. That's all it is. And now when those cravings are burned out, he doesn't find it interesting any longer. So he needs to learn how to play video games without craving, desire, attachment. And there's certain things that you can do as a parent to help him learn how to do that. But if you don't have the wisdom of how to do it yourself, you wouldn't be able to help him do it.
And before I'm more enlightened and know how to do it myself, how can I help my son? if I will take, say, 1 year to get to that stage, during this 1 year, what should I do with my son?
It's going to take you many more years than one to get to enlightenment, but you'll see gradual training and gradual practice. You'll see gradual progress along the way. So it's not like you work for 10 years and then, well, wham, you're now enlightened. But gradually, slowly but surely, you'll see your mind waking up where you start to notice more and more peace, more and more joy all the way through. So you're going to need to start at the very beginning, and then you're going to need to start your son at the very beginning. So where I started my son is understanding the universal truth of impermanence, the same thing that I teach students. That's where I teach them to start. So there's ways to teach a child through games, through activities and things like this. You don't have to wait 1 year to start teaching your son. You could start learning yourself, and within a few weeks or a few months, you will start understanding these teachings, and you could start teaching your son right away. You don't have to wait for a year, but you're going to need to learn the teachings yourself first so that you then have the wisdom to be able to help him understand it.
Yeah, thanks. Are all your sessions recorded?
Yes.
So even if I cannot join live, I can watch them later, right?
Exactly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think this gentleman, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for your insightful teaching, and I have only one question. That is to say, if none of the things permanent object or the subject, then would it be possible for us to have the so-called permanent comfort or joy? I mean, is it possible for us to admit that our life in itself is somewhat bitter and sweet? That we may have our good times and we may have our bad times as well, and that it's okay for us to feel the nasty feelings temporarily, and to admit that we could make compromise with ourselves at this moment. Thank you.
Yeah, so in the unenlightened state, you're going to experience the ups and downs. The mind's going to be swinging up to these pleasant feelings and down to these painful feelings. And that's what you're used to. That's all that you've ever been used to your entire life. You don't know anything else other than that. It's like you've never even tasted chocolate ice cream or even know that it even exists, right? So you have no idea that this chocolate ice cream even exists. So it's the same thing with enlightenment, that people oftentimes don't even know what enlightenment is. They don't even know that it exists. So someone might just resign themselves to thinking that, yeah, stress is normal. I'm just going to be stressed. I'm going to have these icky feelings for the rest of my life. And you can resign yourself to that type of thinking, but it's very unwise, because there is a permanent mental state called enlightenment where your mind can be completely peaceful and joyful. But it's important to understand that when the Buddha taught impermanence, he didn't teach everything is impermanent. What he taught was conditioned objects are impermanent. What a conditioned object is it arises, it changes, and it fades away. These are conditioned objects, that they're temporary. Anything you see, hear, smell, taste, anything that comes in contact with the body, or any thoughts or ideas that go through your mind, those are all impermanent. They arise, they change, and they fade away because they are conditioned objects. But then the Buddha taught what's called unconditioned objects. An unconditioned object has no condition that is producing it. So therefore, it doesn't arise, it doesn't change, and it doesn't fade away. It is permanent. And by the time you get to enlightenment, your mind is unconditioned. So right now, you have conditions in your mind that are causing the anger and sadness and frustration. Those conditions are the pollutions that the Buddha discovered. With those pollutions in your mind, they are the conditions that are producing the discontentedness. But when you clear those pollutions out of your mind is now unconditioned. You don't have any of these pollutions in your mind. And now, because those pollutions no longer exist, the conditions that cause anger and sadness and frustration don't exist in your mind. Your mind is now purified. It's unconditioned. So your mind is bright and cheerful and glad and joyful permanently, because there's no conditions in the mind that are producing the anger and sadness and frustration. So if somebody wants to resign themselves to the anger and frustration the rest of their life, they can, but that's a very miserable way to live life. There's this better way of life that the Buddha taught of getting to a permanent mental state of peace and joy, but an individual doesn't have the wisdom when you're born how to actually acquire it. You need to learn this wisdom along the way. But oftentimes the mind is looking for a way to justify staying in this unenlightened state. The mind wants to be complacent. It's like, I can't do that. It's too much work. Or, that's for other people. It's not for me. Or, it's not even possible. And the mind's going to want to try to justify itself to stay in this unenlightened state. But if you're interested in getting away from that and getting to the peace and joy where all your relationships can be harmonious, there's a path for you, and it's available for you to be able to learn and understand it and experience it for yourself. So then not only will you know that chocolate ice cream exists, but you can taste it and you can enjoy it, because this enlightened mental state, it's permanent, that once you get to it, you'll never experience these discontent feelings ever again. And I'm speaking from experience, not from what somebody taught me or what somebody told me, but I'm explaining to you based on experience. Yeah, you're welcome. You have a question? Yep.
Okay, it's working out. Yep. So I want to start off from thank you for arranging this amazing meditation session this morning. I only have one question. So we're talking about like love, that bring back love basically in life. So we got to start from loving others first to receive love in our life. My question is, or I want to prick your brain on the question that if there's someone who is important in our life, but who has been cheat us badly, or even betray us, or that we have bad history, let's say it that way, are we able to love them again, or a wiser way is to distance from that person? What's your take on this?
So if somebody's falling in love with somebody and falling out of love,
it's more like family level. So it's not like romantic love. It's let's say some person in your family who has been betrayed you before. Okay. So yeah.
All right. So if somebody's falling in love with somebody and falling out of love with somebody, that's not actually love. That's craving, desire, attachment. That's the mind saying, if somebody does things my way, I will love them. But if they stop doing things my way, I don't love them anymore. So if someone in your family, let's just say they steal from you or they damage your reputation, if you say, I don't love them anymore, that's not love. That's if you do things my way, I will say I love you, I will function like I love you, I will tell people that I love you. But when you stop doing things my way, then I don't love you anymore. So your question was, can you love them again? The assumption there is that at one time you loved them and now you don't love them anymore. And you're asking, can you love them again? Well, if that's the way you're experiencing it, where you're in love with someone and you're out of love with someone, that's not love. That's the mind's craving, desire, attachment, that if you meet my expectations, I will say I love you, I will function like I love you. But when you stop doing things my way, then I don't love you anymore. So that's not love. That's selfishness. That's trying to get everyone to do things my way. So if somebody does something like stealing or damaging your reputation, or if you had a life partner who cheated on you or something like that, whether you choose to stay in their relationship or not is going to be a case-by-case basis. You can't just say blanket statement that if somebody does this, absolutely end the relationship and move away. Now, that can be advisable in some situations. In a lot of situations, it's advisable to move away from the relationship and end the relationship. But there are the ability for the mind to look at the situation, have conversations, and work to repair and improve the situation. It really just depends on if both people are committed to working the relationship out. So let's just say a life partner goes out and has sex with another person, and now the other partner finds out about it. Well, this person needs to decide, can I talk to this person and gain confidence that it was a one-time thing and it's never going to happen again, and we can now work to build our relationship? Or if I'm not able to do that, then I need to go away from this person because I'm just going to be angry and frustrated in this situation. Or if someone steals from you, or if somebody damages your reputation, can you choose to let that go and then just focus on loving this person, meaning you have a genuine interest in seeing them be well? And by the way, loving somebody doesn't necessarily mean you need to be in a relationship with them. You can love someone from afar. Right? There was a period of time where I didn't talk to my sister for 10 years because there were challenges going on in our relationship. I still loved her, meaning I had an interest to see her be well, but I didn't have a relationship with her for 10 years. Right? So you can love someone while still not being in a relationship, because what love is having a genuine interest in seeing them be well. So in this situation, you can love everybody. And if somebody does something, like in this situation, my sister was damaging my reputation, I still loved her, but I was disinterested in associating with her because there was a lot of judgment. She was judging me a lot, and she was telling other people all these unwise things that weren't actually true about me. So I just chose to go away. And then I stayed away for 10 years, right? And then as she changed and I could see her changing, we ended up coming back together, and now things are completely different. She doesn't do that anymore, right? So I wasn't trying to change her, but she chose to change on her own. And then I was like, wow, I can continue to associate with this person. But I loved her all the way through. So when you love somebody, you're not falling in love and out of love. You're not having to learn to love them again. What you're doing is you're maintaining your genuine interest in seeing them be well. And whether you choose to be in a relationship with them or not is going to be a case-by-case basis that only you can decide. A teacher can guide you and kind of give you suggestions and things to consider, but each individual person needs to decide for themselves, is this a situation that I can continue to be in or not? Mm-hmm. Yeah, now me and my sister, like we spend time together. Like she lives in America, in the USA, and we talk occasionally by phone just about what's going on with our grandmother and stuff like that, because our grandmother is almost 102 years old, and she's taking care of my grandmother. So she's usually checking in with me and saying, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we're doing, so forth and so on. But there's no harsh words between us. There's no judgment of her. There's no hostility or bitterness. Our relationship's completely 100% harmonious. Yeah, because we're not judging each other. We're not putting expectations on each other. We're not trying to control each other. We're not looking down on each other and things like we used to do in the past. Yeah. But that starts with you changing your mind, right? I never tried to change my sister. She chose to do that on her own, and I chose to do it on my own. So I see a couple more mics out there. I'm not sure who's first or second. Yeah.
You mentioned previously about the definition of you. You mentioned that you is not your mind, is not your body, not your action, behavior, like or dislike. Mm-hmm. So what is you? Is there any you?
There is no you. This is the challenge that the unenlightened mind has, is it keeps trying to grab onto something as you and who you are. It's going to keep trying to identify with this body, this mind, certain qualities. It's going to keep trying to grasp to these things. And as soon as you do, then while those things are intact, you'll feel happy, you'll feel great. But then when all that stuff changes, you won't feel good anymore. So for example, if I was a police officer and I thought I am a police officer, well, as long as I'm doing that work for 10, 15, 20 years, I feel great, right? But now maybe I get injured, or I retire, or I get fired, and now I'm driving a taxi. And now I'm frustrated and agitated because I identify in the mind with I am a police officer, but that is not permanent. So as long as you cling to this idea of I am a police officer, when all that changes, you'll feel less of a person. You'll feel unwhole. You'll feel like there's less of you, right? So you need to get to the point where you don't identify with these things as who you are. You understand that you are performing this role of a police officer, but you don't adopt it into your mind as who you are as a person, because this stuff's all going to change. So that's where like people will come to a place like Thailand, like, I need to go find myself. I don't even know who I am anymore. I need to find my true self. And they will tell their family, I don't know who I am. I need to go to Thailand and find myself. right? They feel like less of a person. Well, now they come to Thailand, they find a new job, new hobbies, new activities, new friends, and they're like, wow, I found myself. I know who I am now. And now they go home and they tell their family like, wow, I found myself. I know who I am. I feel so great. I got these new job, new hobby, new activities, all these passions that you were talking about, right? But now, 5 years later, all that stuff changes again. And now I don't know who I am anymore. Right? So the Buddha is teaching you how to get to permanent peace and permanent joy. As long as you cling to anything as who you think you are, when all that stuff changes, you're not going to feel whole anymore. You're going to feel like less of a person. One of the examples I give people is I had a student one time contact me and he said, hey, ever since COVID happened, I've been having a really difficult time. I was like, yeah, what's going on? He said, well, I am a great tipper. And he says, when I go into these places I used to go into, like ordering a coffee, I used to just hand them my cash and I'd get my change back. I'd get my coffee and I'd move on with my day. But now they have contactless payment that they turn around the computer screen and I need to press on the computer screen the payment, and it usually says, how much do you want to tip? 20%, 25%, 30%, what have you. And he's like, hey, I just gave a 30-second order and they gave me my coffee. I don't feel like I need to tip them, but I feel so conflicted. I feel so miserable in this situation because I am a great tipper. And when I don't tip, I feel miserable. What's going on here, teacher? And I said, well, that's your personal existence view. That's you clinging to this idea that I am a great tipper. And when you're tipping, you feel great, you feel comfortable. But when you don't tip, you don't feel comfortable. So this is the problem, is if you identify with anything as who you are and you cling to that, that is not permanent. So when all that stuff is changing, you'll feel uncomfortable. You'll feel discontent. You'll experience those feelings coming up. So you need to get to the point where you strip all this away and you realize that there is a body, there is a mind, it's come together for this existence, but that doesn't define who you are as a person. But the mind's going to keep trying to grasp at something and hold on to something as who you are, because that's what the mind's trying to do. But you need to be able to see the peace and joy that you can get to by not clinging to any of these things. It's a matter of performing the role without identifying it as who you are. Or it's a matter of knowing this body was born in Israel, but your mind doesn't have to identify with I am Israeli. And that's a very strong one, because I think in Israel, people have a lot of identity of I am Israeli, just like other countries too. But you need to get to the point where you don't identify with these things, because really this body was born on a dirt over in a place that we refer to as the USA or America, but the mind doesn't have to adopt that as who I am as a person. And that's where you can get free, you can get liberated. But as long as an individual clings to any of these things, you can't be free, because your mind's going to experience painful feelings at some point when all that stuff is changing.
Okay. I mean, it's very hard to understand, because I understand that you cannot really make an identity as attached to something, but still I have a, what is you? Because
this is a challenging one for the most people to understand, because you've spent your whole life accumulating personal existence view, right? Even from birth, you were given a name, you were given a label, right? And now you have a certain character, a certain personality of who you think you are based on this name you were given. So ever since birth, people have been kind of imposing personal existence view on us to get our mind to adopt this. In fact, countries try to do this, right? Without them necessarily knowing what they're doing. Like in America, people want you to buy real estate and invest in the country and wave your flag around and cheer for your sports teams and these kinds of things. This is part of the mind having personal existence view, is I am American, so therefore when the Olympics are on, I should be cheering for Americans. Or, when America is fighting in a war, then you should be cheering for America to win because I am America and they are Americans. But this is just going to lead you down a path of discontentedness. So you need to be able to study it more closely. And it takes sometimes a good year for people to understand it and start to shed this away. It's not a teaching that someone gets, right away, because your mind has been conditioned to think that this is you and this is who you are. And now if you gain some weight, you're frustrated. Or if you get real skinny, you're worried, right? Or you get a pimple, you're frustrated or agitated. These are kinds of things. Like when I was a little kid, I used to have gel and mousse, and I would run it through my hair and try to get every little hair in the right spot before I would go outside to the bus. I wouldn't feel comfortable to go outside to school unless every little hair was in exactly the right spot, right? And this is because of personal existence view. And you can get away from this, where, of course, it's wise to take care of your hair and make sure that it's well taken care of, but you shouldn't form feelings based on it because it's impermanent. But this comes with training of the mind. It takes time to do this. More questions? Yep. You're very patient.
If there is no I, then what should I do in my whole life? Or what should I pursue? And what about dreams?
It's up to you. That's a personal choice, but you don't have to define that as who you are. So like at one time I was a business owner, right? And I used to own businesses. If I identified with I am a business owner, I am an entrepreneur, when my mind was interested in starting to share the teachings of the Buddha, I wouldn't be willing to let that go because that's part of my identity and who I think I am. So it's not like you have some grand purpose in the world and you need to identify with this as who you are. Just do the things that you enjoy, do the things that you think are wise in the world, and gradually build up your life. But you don't have to identify with that as who I am as a person. So even like right here, I'm sharing the teachings of the Buddha. Someone might say, he is a Buddhist teacher. And now the mind would adopt, I am a Buddhist teacher. I don't have that identity in my mind. I understand that I share the teachings of the Buddha, and that's the role that I fulfill. And other people might look at me as a Buddhist teacher, but my mind hasn't adopted that identity of I am a Buddhist teacher. Because now when people say, all Buddhist teachers are lovely and kind and warm and gentle, wow, they're talking about me. Wow, that feels so great. But now it's only a matter of time before somebody, because of impermanence, says, all Buddhist teachers are horrible. They're so, blah, 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 blah. They talk bad things. Well, now if I identify that way as who I am, now I'm going to be frustrated. This mind will be frustrated because now I'm hearing something that is disagreeable. So if I don't have that identity in my mind, if somebody says something wonderful about Buddhist teachers, okay, they're not talking about me. They say something that's bitter and harsh and hostile and degrading. Okay, they're not talking about me because that's not who I am. I'm performing the role of a Buddhist teacher, but I don't have to adopt that identity of who I am. So you need to get away from trying to cling to any of these things as who you are, because you're just setting yourself up for painful feelings. You're sabotaging yourself, because as soon as you grab onto anything as who you are, as soon as you hear disagreeable things about that, you're going to experience painful feelings.
Okay, thank you. And what do you think is free? You said before, free. What is free?
What does it mean to be free?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what it means to be free is your mind isn't bound up any longer, where you're experiencing anger and sadness and frustration and all these other discontent feelings. Because like right now, if somebody said something to you, maybe they were degrading and diminishing about your physical appearance. Maybe they're degrading or diminishing your family and talking bad about your mother, your father, your brothers or sisters. Or maybe they were degrading your job or something like this. You'd be frustrated perhaps, or angry or irritated. Your mind's not free, because it's only a matter of time for somebody to say something or do something, and now it triggers one of your cravings, and now you're angry or frustrated because your mind's all bound up. But when your mind is free, when it's liberated, you don't experience that. No matter what somebody says, no matter what somebody does, your mind's completely peaceful and completely joyful. You might choose to not associate with that person. You might choose to move on from the relationship, but your mind's not angry or frustrated. So being free is that your mind is completely peaceful. It's completely joyful. It doesn't have the pollution in the mind any longer. And now you can be joyful, cheerful, bright, uplifted, glad in every situation. Even if your mom died, you could still maintain your joy. You're not joyful because mom died. You're joyful despite the fact that she's died, because you understand that mom dying is normal. Because she was born, she had to die, right? That's impermanence. So if every time your mind experiences impermanence, you're frustrated or angry, your mind's bound up, right? But if you understand impermanence is normal in the world and your mind no longer craves permanence, when you're experiencing this constant impermanence, you can be completely comfortable with it because you understand it, that it's normal. So you don't have to grieve and feel sorrowful when mom dies, because mom dying is just normal. It's a normal part of life. People oftentimes think it's love that's causing that, but it's not your love. The genuine interest in seeing all beings be well, that doesn't cause painful feelings. What's causing that painful feeling is craving mom to be permanent. The mind wants mom to be permanent, when in reality, she's impermanent. And now when you experience this impermanence, the mind doesn't understand that and it doesn't like it. And it's holding on to mom, wanting her to be permanent. And now when she's not here any longer, someone's frustrated or angry. So as long as your mind is having the pollutions of mind, it's not free. It's not liberated. When your mind is free of the pollution, it's going to be free of those strong feelings. And that's what it means to be free, is that your mind is completely liberated and free, that it's not bound up and experiencing these strong feelings over and over and over again.
Okay, I have a personal problem last. I always think over things in my head, even when I'm reading. So sometimes it's difficult for me to learn. Maybe do you have advice how to get over it?
To have repetitive thoughts in your mind?
Yeah.
It's the Eightfold Path. Every single person who's interested in getting to enlightenment, you're going to need to learn and practice the Eightfold Path, because this mental discipline section is going to teach you what to do in that situation. What you need to do is cut it off and let it go. When the thoughts are coming up, you need to cut it off and let it go and redirect the mind. But you're not going to be able to do that if you're not using the meditation. That meditation where you're focused on the breath, and when the mind moves off the breath, you cut it off and let it go and bring the mind back. That's training your mind to let go, because your mind doesn't know how to let go. It craves permanence. So consistently training your mind with breathing mindfulness meditation to let go. Now when you have those thoughts coming up in your day-to-day life, you can let them go. But if you're not understanding the whole path and you're not regularly training your mind, you'll find it very difficult to let go. So it's a complete package that's working together, and there's not just one thing to teach you that's going to completely change all of that. You need to learn all of these steps and implement all of them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You've been very patient, ma'am. You have a question? Yeah, in the white.
Hi, teacher, thank you so much for having this valuable session. And my question is actually very simple. Does love within the realm of enlightenment demands certain degree of isolation and indifference? Because I think, as you mentioned, love, only unconditional love is true love. Mm-hmm. But I feel that sometimes it is very difficult to love someone unconditionally, because take my parents' relationship with me as an example. I think they love me on condition, their love condition on some facts, like I will get married at a certain age, I will give birth to a child at a certain age, something like this. And if I choose to love them unconditionally, that means I will, I need to have some shell over my heart. I need to block those attacks and some maybe judgments towards me. So, yeah.
It's not true the way that you're thinking right now, because you're not fully understanding what true love is and what unconditional love is. There is no isolation and indifference with true love. That's not the case. What you're thinking love is not love. When your parents want you to get married at a certain time, that's not their love. They think it's their love, but it's not love. I'm sure they have unconditional love in there for you, but it's tainted and polluted with their expectations, with their cravings. And when you get that craving and expectations out of the way, the true love can shine through more and more. But if someone doesn't have the wisdom of what true love is, and they haven't trained their mind to eliminate their cravings, desires, attachments, they're not going to be practicing true love. The vast majority of the world doesn't understand what true love is, and they're not practicing it. So that's why you get very demanding relationships. You get a lot of expectations. You get broken relationships all the time. You get arguments and people fighting and upset with each other. That's not what happens in my household. Not anymore. That's the way it used to be when we didn't understand true love. But now, that's not the case. My wife, my son, all of our extended family, my sister, we understand what true love is because we've gained that wisdom within our family, and now we can have harmony in our relationships. But a family and individuals who don't know what true love is, they will look at love in this very detrimental way, and they don't understand how to practice it. So what you're describing is not true love. Because an individual who has true love would love unconditionally. Loving unconditionally is to understand that you're not going to agree with 100% of the decisions your parents make, but you need to separate their decisions from the person themselves. So you might disagree with your parents that they're putting expectations on you to get married at a certain time. Right? You can disagree with that. Like, that's not what you're interested in doing if you had children someday. But you can still love them as a person, meaning that you have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. Loving someone doesn't mean you agree with them 100%, right? Like, I don't agree with everything my wife does. I don't agree with everything my son does, but I love them, meaning I have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. So my love isn't contingent upon them doing things my way, or me agreeing with them 100%. My love is unconditional. There's nothing they did to earn my love, so there's nothing that they can do to take it away. It's unconditional. So even if my mom or my son or my wife does things in a way that is opposite of what I would do it, I can still love them, meaning I have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. And I'm not indifferent to the fact that they do things differently than me. That's fine. I'm not isolating myself from them. I just understand that they are different and they're making decisions differently than me. And I can disagree with their choices and decisions while still loving them as a person. And this is something you need to work at. It's not something that's going to be able to listen to at one time, click your fingers and instantly do it, because you have your own cravings, your own expectations of how you want your parents to be. And if they meet your expectations, you're happy. But if they don't meet your expectations, you're maybe angry or frustrated at them. So you're not practicing true love 100% with them yet. That's how I was able to get to the point where people around me were practicing true love, is that I had to first understand it myself, and then I had to practice true love. So that then my son could understand what true love is, and then he could practice that with me. My wife could understand what it is, and she could practice it with me. But until you understand what it is and you're practicing it, the people around you aren't going to practice it. So you need to learn how to not have expectations of people and wanting people to be a certain way, because they're not going to be that way. Just love them as they are, and disagree with your choices and decisions your parents make, but just love them as a person and have a genuine interest in seeing them be well. But it's going to take you time to do that, because you need to get rid of your cravings. That's what this is going to do for you. Yes. Okay, I'm just going to repeat a little bit of that so the people online can hear. So she said, isn't it natural for people to have expectations, and it's kind of like stuck in a circle where they just keep going around and around? This is the case because of the lack of wisdom. When you gain the wisdom of what true love is, and you gain the wisdom of how to practice it, and you use something like the Eightfold Path to get rid of your cravings, desires, attachments, then you can break that cycle. That's the cycle of rebirth. That's why people keep being reborn over and over and over again, because they don't have the wisdom that they need to overcome their cravings. It's natural for the unenlightened being to have craving, desire, attachment. But that is just what the unenlightened mind does, because it doesn't understand how detrimental this is to your relationships. It doesn't understand how much havoc it's wreaking in your life, that having these cravings, desires, attachments is sabotaging your ability to have fulfilling, satisfying, and sustaining relationships. When you see how detrimental this is to your life and you learn how to eliminate it, and then you see how your life is going much better without it, then you'll have broken the cycle. But until you cultivate the wisdom, you won't be able to break the cycle. Yes, sir.
Hello, thank you so much for the session first. You talk about that we can choose to not associate with some people in life. Is it bad to choose to not associate with certain kind of people?
I don't think of it as good or bad, right? I think of it as what's wise or unwise. Let's just say, for example, I grew up with a childhood friend. We've been friends our whole life. And let's just say at the age of 18, this person starts selling drugs, illegal drugs, right? And now they're on the street selling drugs. Well, just because we've been friends since we're 8 years old, we've had 10 years of history, it doesn't make sense for me to cling to this relationship and just hold on to it. Because now when we're walking down the street and some rival drug dealer sees them, they might start shooting bullets at them, and now I get killed. Right? This would be my unwise decisions to associate with someone who's doing something unwholesome. So you can choose who to involve in your life, and you would be wise to do so. If you involve people who are killing and stealing, having sexual misconduct, who are lying, who are taking intoxicants, this is all going to produce harm in their life because of their decisions. But your decision to be their friend or their life partner or what have you, now it's going to affect you. So you would like to get to the point where you're making wise choices of who to involve in your life, especially like a life partner. Like if you're going to have a husband or a wife or something like this, whoever you include in your life, you're going to experience certain results because of that. It's kind of like if you were to create a company and you were going to hire a CEO to run your company is going to fail or succeed based on who you hire for that company. And you might take 6 months to a year to decide who you're going to hire as the CEO of your company. Well, you need to treat your life similarly, that the people that you include in your life's going to go up and down based on your choices of who to associate with. And this position in your life is like a life partner. I think you already have a life partner, or maybe this is a friend, or is this a friend that you're with? Your sister and your mom? Yeah. This is your mom? Really? You look so young. Wow. Oh, right here. This is your mom. Oh, okay. I thought this was your mom. I was like, whoa, you look so young. This is your mom. Okay. I see some gray hair there. Okay. All right. So this isn't your boyfriend or girlfriend or anything like that. But if you decide to have a life partner in your life, you would like to make this choice very wisely, because who you choose to involve in your life is going to make a big difference in terms of what you experience in your day-to-day basis. Treat it just like the CEO of a company. Take your time to make a wise decision. And that's what the dating process is for, right? For you to figure out whether this is somebody that you'd like to live life with. And can you guys solve problems together? Can you work together? Can you communicate together? These are all things you'd like to look at. But oftentimes in the dating process, you're so excited about their physical appearance, or if you're having sex and things like this, you're so excited about all that stuff, you're not looking at all the important stuff. You need to look at all the important stuff about how their mind functions and how they interact in the world, because that's what you're going to be working with. Because over time, the beauty is going to fade away, right? It's the mind that you're going to be spending time with. So you like to make sure this person has a wise mind, or at least they're interested in learning and growing and developing to become wiser. Mm-hmm. All right. No more questions? All right. I don't see any questions online either. Okay. So what I'm going to do then is just end by thanking you guys. Thank you for being interested to learn the teachings. Pleased that you guys are interested to learn. If you guys would like to learn more, you're always welcome to. You can go to our website. You can see our classes, courses, retreats. You can come here. You can join online. You can listen to our recordings. If you're interested in getting rid of this anger and sadness and frustration and all these other discontent feelings, there's help for you. And I'll help you to do that. But you need to decide for yourself that you would like to eliminate them and train your mind to do so. So the next time I'm going to be teaching is going to be on Saturday and Sunday, where we have the Polycanon English Study Group and the group learning program. This Friday, we have game night. If you guys would like to come for game night, it's at 6 p.m. on Friday, where we're going to have a social event where we play games together with everybody. We're going to have our popcorn machine here, making popcorn and snacks and stuff like that. You're welcome to bring things if you'd like. So if you'd like to stop by and spend some time with people socially, that's a great little event to spend time on Friday at 6 p.m. So whatever you guys decide to do today, have a very wonderful and lovely rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Sawadee krap.
Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.